My brother took $47,000, the funds I had saved for level 2 autism therapy for my 12-year-old son. He spent it on an extravagant fishing boat. My parents urged me to forgive and move on. What I did next surprised everyone. A year later, my son did something that brought me to tears. Hey, Reddit. There are moments in life you never forget. The day your child is born, the first time they say, "Mom," and the night you feel everything shatter because someone you trusted stole your child's future. My son Noah is level 2 autistic. He's bright, kind, gentle, and observant, but the world can be overwhelming for him. He needs support, therapy, and structure. For 2 years, I worked 2 jobs, saved every bonus, cut corners, skipped holidays, and focused on one goal: $47,000 for a year of intensive therapy that could change his life. I had the payment appointment scheduled, the paperwork ready, and hope in my heart for the first time in months. Then my brother ruined everything in a single day. The money was gone, just gone. My savings account drained, my therapy fund emptied. I called the bank, crying and shaking. They confirmed it. "Ma'am, the withdrawals were authorized by someone with joint access." My stomach dropped. There was only one person who had that. A decision I made years ago for family convenience. My older brother, Nick, the golden child, who never faced consequences because my parents always defended him. I called him. He answered casually. "What?" "You took my money," I managed to say. "That was Noah's therapy fund. All of it." He sighed dramatically. "Relax. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal?" I yelled. "It was $47,000. He snapped back. "I needed it. Besides, you're overreacting. Noah doesn't need that therapy. He's fine the way he is. You baby him too much." I was speechless. Part of me wanted him to feel the weight of what he'd just taken, but he continued, unfazed. "And don't freak out. I bought something useful. An investment." Then he sent me a picture, a luxury fishing boat, shining and massive. I dropped my phone. I told my parents. "Big mistake." Mom gasped, but not at the theft. "Oh, sweetheart, he shouldn't have taken that much, but he didn't mean harm." Dad added, "Your brother finally bought something responsible. A boat can earn money. Stop being dramatic." I stared at them, in shock. That was Noah's therapy money, his chance at progress. Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Noah's just different. Therapy can wait. Nick needed help more." I stepped back, as if she had slapped me. "Nick needed help more than my autistic child?" Dad shrugged. "You can save again. You've always managed." They didn't even look guilty. They expected forgiveness and compliance, as if I should just swallow my pain like always. But that night, something broke inside me. Not sadness. Not anger. Resolve. Nick called me later. "You told Mom and Dad," he groaned. "God, you're such a problem." "A problem?" I replied. "Yes. You always ruin things. Just let it go. Therapy is overrated." That was when I realized my brother wasn't sorry, and neither were my parents. No one cared about Noah but me. So I stopped talking, stopped begging, and stopped explaining. I hung up and made a choice that changed everything. Instead of forgiving and forgetting, I documented everything. Bank statements, screenshots, voice messages, my brother bragging about the boat, the transaction receipt, his name on it. Then I filed a police report, not just for theft, but for felony-level financial fraud. The detective called my parents for statements. My mom cried, "How could you do this to your brother?" My dad yelled, "You're tearing this family apart." But I remained calm. "No," I said. "Nick tore this family apart when he stole my child's future." Nick was arrested 2 days later. The boat was seized. My parents were speechless. The look on Nick's face when he realized I wasn't protecting him this time was unforgettable. That was the moment I stopped being the family doormat. They pleaded with me to drop the charges. I refused because Noah deserved justice, even if it came wrapped in handcuffs. But the fallout didn't end there. The lawsuit, restitution, restraining order, therapy struggles, the brutal year that followed. It was exhausting. But then 1 year later, something happened that made every tear and every battle worth it. Something my son did that brought me to my knees. After everything fell apart, Noah did something none of us expected, something every therapist once said he might never be able to do. The months after pressing charges felt like walking through a battlefield long after the war had ended. The debris was still there. The silence was heavy, and nothing felt the same anymore. Nick was charged. My parents were furious. Noah was stuck in the chaos he never caused, but he didn't complain. He didn't even fully understand what had happened. All he knew was that Mom was stressed and the therapy, the one safe, structured place he trusted, was suddenly gone. That broke me more than anything else. Therapy centers don't wait for you. You lose your spot and start again at the bottom of the list. For Noah, structure, predictability, and consistency are everything. Losing his therapy wasn't just losing a service, it was losing stability, safety, and progress. The absence showed. Some days, Noah completely withdrew. He'd sit in his room for hours, quietly lining up his toys by color. He didn't want music or shows, and he didn't want food unless it was the same shape, temperature, and brand. Other days, he'd melt down over the smallest shift in routine, a noisy hallway, a new shampoo smell, a flickering light. I held him through it, even when he pushed me away, knowing he wasn't angry at me. He was overwhelmed by a world that made no sense. Every night, after he finally fell asleep, I cried quietly beside him, wishing I could rebuild the $47,000 by sheer force of love. My parents called often, not to check on Noah, but to scold me. You took it too far. Nick is suffering. You should have handled it privately. He only borrowed it. You're breaking this family. Each accusation felt like a stab because the family I spent my whole life trying to belong to made their priorities painfully clear. Nick's comfort mattered more than Noah's survival. At some point, something inside me simply unplugged. I stopped explaining, defending myself, or begging them to care about my child. Instead, I created my own world inside my house, one where Noah was safe. We established routines, built visual schedules, learned sensory calming techniques from online therapists, and found a retired speech therapist who offered low-cost weekend sessions. A neighbor even donated sensory equipment her child had outgrown. Little by little, brick by brick, I built Noah a new foundation. Nick eventually pled guilty, only because his lawyer warned him about the financial felony involving a vulnerable child. You're lucky she didn't press harder, he cried, blaming me for ruining his life. But the truth was simple. He ruined his own life the moment he stole from a child who couldn't fight back. The court ordered restitution, every dollar to be repaid, financial monitoring, mandatory financial responsibility classes, and a suspended sentence that could activate if he violated terms, including no contact with us unless through formal mediation. He left the courtroom shaking. My parents didn't comfort me. They ran to him, and that day I realized blood means nothing if love isn't there. Noah turned 13 almost exactly 1 year after the theft. I didn't plan a big party. He didn't want crowds, noise, or candles being blown out while people clapped. He wanted stillness. So I gave him that, just us. A small vanilla cake, soft lights, his favorite blanket, and a quiet afternoon. He opened a few small gifts, slime sets, puzzle books, noise-canceling headphones, the things that brought him comfort. Then I handed him one last gift, a little box with a metal puzzle piece necklace inside. It represents autism acceptance, I whispered, and how proud I am of you. Every day, no matter what, Noah stared at it for a long time. I didn't know what he was thinking and didn't expect a reaction. I was just happy to give him something meaningful. But then he looked up at me, breathing quickly as if trying to process something big. Slowly and cautiously, as if climbing a mountain inside himself, he stepped forward, placed the necklace down, and wrapped his arms around me. Both arms, warm and intentional, a real hug. My breath caught, and my knees almost buckled because Noah doesn't initiate hugs. Not because he doesn't love, but because physical contact overwhelms him. Therapists once told me he might never express affection this way. But here he was, holding me tightly, pressing his cheek to my shoulder, breathing shakily like he was proud of himself too. Then he whispered, Thank you, Mom, for fighting for me. No tears I'd ever cried felt like those I shed that day. Every court battle, every night of silent tears, every moment I doubted myself, every second I feared I failed him, that hug erased it all. Weeks later, my parents tried to reconnect, saying things like, "It's time to move on. Families should stick together. Nick wants to apologize." I didn't yell or rage. I simply said, "Noah hugged me for the first time this year because I fought for him when none of you would." That told me everything I needed to know about who my family truly is. Silence on their end, calm on mine. Then I ended the call. For the first time in years, I felt free. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't loud or grand. They're the quiet arms around your shoulders from the child you fought the whole world to protect.